Thomas Jefferson allowed that mammoths might still be alive during his day. He penned the following in Notes on the State of Virginia regarding mammoths. The bones of the mammoth which have been found in America are as large as those found in the Old World. It may be asked, why I insert the mammoth as if it still existed? I ask in return, why I should omit it as if it did not exist. Such is the economy of nature, that no instance can be produced of her having permitted any one race or her animals to become extinct, of her having formed any link in her great work so weak as to be broken. To add to this, the traditionary testimony of the Indians that this animal still exists in the northern and western parts of America would be adding the light of a taper to that of the meridian sun. Those parts still remain in their aboriginal state, unexplored and undisturbed by us, or by others for us. He may well exist there now, as he did formerly where we find his bones. If he be a carnivorous animal, as some anatomists have conjectured, and the Indians affirm, his early retirement may be accounted for from the general destruction of the wild game by the Indians, which commences in the first instant of their connection with us for their purposes of purchasing match coats, hatchets, firelocks with their skins. Jefferson also wrote of a tradition of members of a Delaware Indian delegation shared with him that indicates mammoths and mastodons lived in recent times. He said that in ancient times a herd of these tremendous animals came to the Big Bone Licks and began a universal destruction of the bear, deer, elk, buffalo, and other animals which had been created for the use of the Indians. That the great man above, looking down and seeing this, was so enraged that he seized his lightning, descended on the earth, seated himself upon a neighboring mountain on a rock, of which his seat and the print of his feet are still there to be seen, and hurled his bolts among them, until the whole herd were slaughtered, except the big bull, who, presenting his forehead to the shafts, shook them off as they fell. But missing one at length, it wounded him in the side, whereupon, springing around, he bounded over the Ohio, over the Wabash, the Illinois, and finally over the Great Lakes, where he is living at this day. The late Native American scholar, author, and activist Vine Deloria Jr. wrote of the existence of mammoths and mastodons in contemporary times in his book Red Earth, White Lies. Said Deloria, the Delaware Indian story of Big Bone Lick skeletal remains in Kentucky, cited in the previous chapter, suggests there may be some recent Indian memories of these creatures. The Indians were collecting bones for European scientists, so there should be no doubt as to their authenticity. Accepting the story, however, means that there were mammoths or mastodons still living in the eastern United States at the time the Pilgrims landed, or when the Jamestown colony was being established, because the bones could not have lain on the ground for thousands of years without suffering complete decay and dissolution.